All right, so our ultimate goal, this is a little mini one. Our ultimate goal is to have something that looks kind of like this, okay? So we've got our framework, we've got a wrist level, an elbow level, a cap height level. This is that A mark, the top of the sleeve. So the top part, the cap, is going to be this kind of S curvy bell-shaped thing. And the bottom part is going to be kind of a tapered rectangle with a bend at the elbow, and we're going to be putting an elbow dart in, okay? So I'll move these down if you want. All right, so where did we leave off? We left off where it says mark and square the lines from A, C, D prime, and B. So we've already done that. Now comes the part where we're going to put in the framework for the cap sleeve. It's going to look kind of like a house shape. And this is where we're going to use our armhole measurement in conjunction with the bicep measurement from the chart to see where we actually need to be. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using our ruler at an angle from A to find a location on our bicep line. So what it says is place edge of ruler at A, and I like to start kind of with 0 here, at A, okay, and pivot until armhole measurement touches bicep line. So what that means is we need to find our armhole measurement on our ruler, and my armhole measurement is 8 9/16, so I'm going to find it on my ruler, 8 9/16. I could put a little piece of tape there if I wanted to, so I don't have to like think about it all the time. Okay, so there's my armhole measurement. Okay, so if I put 0 at A, what I want to do is I want to pivot my ruler until my armhole measurement hits the C line. You see that? When you get into 107A, and you'll make this same basic block that we're making here, but you'll make it flat on the table before even putting it up on the form. It's going to involve a lot of this, like take a measurement and angle it from one point to find another. So this is going to be a common kind of thing, even though it might seem strange right now. So I have 0 at A, and I've got my armhole measurement hitting the bicep line. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a mark. Okay, this isn't a letter yet. This is you could even label it armhole measurement or whatever from form. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to find a mark where our bicep would land if we use the measurement from the chart. So the measurement from the chart for our bicep was 12 5/8. That bicep measurement, half of it's going to go on either side of that center line. So what's half of 12 5/8?
6 and 5/16.
12 5/8 divided by 2 is 6 5/16. So 12 divided by 2 is 6, and then half of 5/8, you just double the denominator and get 5/16. Okay, so I'm going to find from that center line 6 5/16 over on the same side. I could be doing this little exercise on either side, it wouldn't matter, because they're going to be symmetrical for now. 1 2 3 4 5/16. So I'm going to find where the chart is. Okay, now this is a bad example because it's right on. It's never right on for me. Let's say it was here. Okay, let's say I had 2 different measurements. What I would then do is I would find halfway between the 2, put a mark, and I would label that mark E. Okay, mine happens to be on. It's the first time ever. So I'm going to now label this E. But if they're different, put another mark, find halfway between, and call that mark E. Okay? Now that I know what E is, I want to have another equidistant line on the opposite side. Okay? So I'm going to take a measurement of what that is, and I know it's 6 5/16, and I'm going to put the same measurement on the other side. So that E mark is going to be halfway between your diagonal armhole measurement and the chart measurement. Okay. So on the one side it's labeled E, the other side is labeled F, but they're the same distance from C. So we clear on how we found E?
So if your first measurement didn't measure...
Let's say my first measurement got me over here.
Uh-huh.
And then this is from the chart.
Uh-huh.
I would find halfway between the
Okay.
two, and I would make that E.
Okay.
So I don't want to only use the chart because some of your armholes might be bigger or large or smaller than the standard that's in the book. So taking your own armhole measurement into account will adjust your sleeves properly fit into your armhole. Okay, so now that I've got these E and F marks, I'm going to connect the dots. I'm going to connect A to E. And A to F. And it's going to make kind of a little house shape. Now these are temporary guidelines. If we look here, I've got a bell curve, right? This is not a bell curve, it's an angle, but we're going to use this to help develop the curve. We're going to get some measurements that go above and some measurements that go below, and we're going to use our French curve to flesh it out. But this is just kind of the framework. Okay, so now there is a typo in the book, and I want to call it out to your attention now. I'd like you to all pencil it in your book. Even if you decide to resell this, it's helpful for the future generations to know that there is a typo in this book. Okay, right here in the middle of the page it says B to O, page 56. The middle of the page it says B to O. You guys should be writing this stuff down or writing it in your book. I should see notes. B to O equals 4 inches less than C to E. That's a big crazy typo. It will mess up your sleeve. B to O is actually only 2 inches less than C to E. What it's saying here is the wrist is 4 inches smaller than the bicep. The wrist is 4 inches smaller than the bicep. Their error is they're saying half of the bicep and half of the wrist. They're giving C to E and they're saying B to O. I don't want half of the wrist to be 4 inches smaller than half of the bicep. What that would do is give me a wrist that's so small you couldn't actually stick your hand in it. Okay? So what we want in total is for the wrist to be 4 inches smaller than the bicep. What that means is if we're finding half, we only want half of it to be 2 inches smaller. So take the number 4 from your book, cross it out, stick a number 2.
Would you use that, the 4 inches, if you had like a button on the side, or is that still too small?
What I'm saying is if you made half of it 4 inches smaller, it would be so small a baby's hand couldn't fit in it. Button or no button. Okay, so we're going to make sure our wrist is a total of 4 inches smaller, but if we're talking half measurements, which is what we are doing, it should just be 2 inches smaller on the half. Okay, so you'll need to find out what your measurement is up here at your cap, and mine was 6 5/16. Okay, 2 inches smaller than that. Mark the wrist 2 inches smaller than that on either side. So I put my ruler at my bicep measurement here, and then it was easy for me just to count in 2 inches and put a mark. So I'm doing that on both sides. The one on the left is going to be labeled O. The one on the right is going to be labeled P. You'll notice it skipped a whole lot from F to O and P, but we're going to get to the middle letters in a little bit. Okay, then I'm going to connect these dots.
So just to recap, this the wrist width is 2 inches each side,
okay,
less than the width.
Correct.
Right.
So my total overall is 12 5/8.
So this is
So
8 and 5/8.
yes.
Right.
So